Hello. So it's been a while, probably a year, 2 years since I've actually done any videos. Feels that long anyway. But I'm still alive, still here, and still driving the RX8. I know I was going to do a full review video, and I did produce a ton of video, but just never got around to editing it all together. So I do apologise. But here's the car. Not sure I ever posted that I had her wrapped. So she looks pretty damn cool. You can see that. Yeah. I mean, it's an okay wrap job. If you get too close, it's a bit shit in places. But you know what? When you're driving along and from a couple of meters, it's perfect. Which is all I wanted because, you know, it's a project car, isn't it? So the car's been fine, been driving around, done lots of miles, done some good speeds in it as well, top speeds as well. It gets a bit scary because I know the welding and stuff I did to hold the batteries in the front. And so, you know, I don't push it too hard. But she's brilliant, you know, absolutely brilliant to drive. But she's developed a fault. So it's why I'm here. I thought, you know what, I'll go through this fault with everybody and you know, just to give you an update and the fault finding process that I'm going to go through. But essentially, I took her for a drive, and a drive that should have been 20% battery loss actually lost me about 50%. So I'm like, oh shit, something's not right here. So first thing I did was communicate with the BMS in the car. So I don't know if I can show you there. I've got the Nissan Leaf BMS system there, which is obviously on the CAN bus. And if you look at my old videos, you'll know that the CAN bus for the Nissan stuff is on the same CAN bus as the RX8. And I've got a couple of points at the front of the car. You can probably see here a wire coming off the car here, just so I can then communicate on the CAN bus. So I've got another bit of software that queries the BMS to say what's going on, and I can get the individual cell values for all the batteries. And immediately I'm like, okay, one battery, 0 volts. So, okay, I think it was battery, I think out of all the 96 cells, it was something like cell 48. Problem is, I don't know which one cell 48 was. So I then had to then do a manual process of, and I got half the batteries at the back of the car. You see at the back of the car there. And the other half of the batteries are in the containment system I built in the front of the car, which is there. You can see the white batteries. It's very hard to do, I hope you saw that, but the batteries are at the front of the car. And after checking with a voltmeter, all the cells, eventually found the cell that was dead. And it's actually the main cell at the front here, if I can get the camera. So the positive cable here, this front cell, this front battery here, which is, they got four cells basically in the battery. One of them is 0 volts. So it's just failed. Now I'm using the 30 kilowatt battery from a Nissan Leaf, a 30 kilowatt battery pack from a Nissan Leaf. But apparently those are prone to doing this. This is not uncommon. Bit of a shame, but you know, I've had no problems. And if this is the only one that's gone, then okay. So I'm going to replace that battery now. What I'm also going to replace is where the black cable comes in as well. This connector here, again, if you look back on my old videos, I damaged when I took it out of the original Leaf that I got all the cells from. I put the cordless drill on the wrong way, and it tightened it, and it just bent the connector. It's worked fine. It's not giving me any grief whatsoever. But you know what? Seeing as I'm going to have to replace a battery, I'm probably going to replace both of those too with new ones. And that's been a struggle because, as I say, these are the 30 kilowatt battery modules, and they're a bit rare because they were only in the Mark 1 Leaf for about 8 months, a year maybe, whereby it was always the 24 kilowatt packs. They upped it to the 30 kilowatt, but it was actually these are the same chemistry component of the new Nissan Leafs. And they did these 30 kilowatt, I guess they were testing it, I don't know, but they didn't exist for very long. So it's been quite hard to track down some more cells, but I did. And not only did I found them reasonably local, only about an hour and a half away from where I lived. And he had 7. I just looked down there. So I've got here 7 replacements. I didn't need 7, but you know, he had 7. He didn't really want them, and I got them for a pretty good price. So a very good price actually, because nobody wants them. Who wants 30 kilowatt cells packs, I say. So I have 7 batteries. I have 2 I need to replace, and this is going to be a ball ache. So I might make this like just part 1 introduction to the ball ache, and then make more videos as I go through. But essentially, the pack that I've made at the front here, this box I've made has the original. There's steel. What are you going to call them, Dave? The steel bars that go through all the cells, and it pulls them all together. It's like compression to stop them expanding. And so I've used the original compression ends, so the kind of plates, and then the rods that go through. Rods, that's the word I was looking for. So the rods run front to back. And if I come over here, I don't know if you can see, this thing here is the end of one of the rods. I have no idea if you saw that. But anyway, there are rods running front to back, and there are 8 of them. And it's going to be a ball ache. I'm going to have to take the front bumper off because the rods are, what, 2.5 foot long? Well, 2 foot long. So they're going to have to come out the front of the car, which will then allow me to lift the batteries up. But obviously I'm going to have to undo all the BMS wiring. And again, look back at one of my old videos and you'll see all this wiring on top. I redid all this black wiring going up here, which goes down this orange cable, which runs the length of the car back to the BMS. I had to redo all that. Again, look at one of my old videos. I'm going to have to undo that for these 2 batteries. Obviously, I need to make it all safe. So I'm going to have to just disconnect as much battery stuff as I can so that it's only these batteries that are live, and then obviously just don't touch the terminals. And lift them out. Now, what I do know is I made this super tight. These were impossible to get in when I made it. I literally had sheets of metal to slide down to then pull the metal out to get the batteries in together. I'm going to expect that these batteries have probably expanded a bit because they're not in their natural environment, and I'm going to expect a bit of a job. But you know, I got to do it. I can't really drive it with a broken cell, so I'm going to end this video here and then do a bit of prep, and I'll see you on the other side. So, as I said, the first thing I need to do is make this all safe. So what I do when I do that in my car is, first off, I make sure the 2 relays are dead. Sometimes they can get fused closed, and I just need to make sure there's nothing that's going to catch me out. You know, don't always think these are absolutely open. So I'm going to make sure that both of those are open and not closed, even though everything is off. Then I will disconnect these 2, and I'll disconnect those 2. So that's the first start of breaking the circuit that is the battery. You know, I just need to break the battery down into small bits. I then will disconnect this part of the back battery, and that'll disconnect basically the whole rear of the car's battery system off. So coming to the front, what I'll do is, again, just making it as safe as possible, I'll then disconnect the main black lead that goes to the back of the car and the main red lead that goes to the back of the car. So what I've then got is just this body here that I'm working with. Next thing will be to, I've already taken off a couple of the covers that I 3D printed. There's 3D printed things there. I will then take off these covers, disconnect the 2 batteries from the rest of the group, because that's what this bridge does there. And then take off the bridges that are connecting the 4 cells that make up each module. And then that'll make it kind of as safe as possible. After that, take off the BMS wiring, take off this BMS wiring, and I've made this BMS loom that goes down the middle that unfortunately is obviously in the way. When I lift these batteries out, I need this to not be in the way. I'm hoping I might be able to just maneuver it out of the way, because I don't really want to undo all the BMS wiring. So hopefully there's just enough play and that can get out the way. So I'm going to crack on and have a go at just making some of this safe right now, and I'll be back in a minute. Right, so half an hour later, done quite well. I've disconnected battery from the backpack there. I've disconnected the 2 high voltage relays, and one of my relays is frozen. So I'll be replacing that as a part of this job as well. I've got a couple of spare relays, which is good. I've also disconnected, and there was actually disconnected in the last video, but all the BMS wiring is disconnected from the BMS, because one of the things, one of the many mistakes I made when I was building this was that I connected two of the BMS wires around the wrong way. And of course, the BMS is expecting certain voltages at certain points, and I blew up the BMS. So I've disconnected the BMS completely, just in case two of my BMS wires touch or whatever and cause it damage. So disconnected that, disconnected all the back, and now up the front here I have, so that's, I think you can see what's going on. So I've disconnected, taken off all the white covers, disconnected all the copper, disconnected the two main high voltage connectors that go to the back of the car, and I'm left now with the BMS wiring in the way. So my next job is I'm actually going to label those BMS wires, because at the front there are 10 BMS wires. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the cells. 10? Why is there 10? Oh yeah, because there are eight cells, aren't there? 8 cells, and 2 is because the BMS stores the front of the pack 0, back of the pack at full voltage, and it has another set of readings in the middle, and that's where that's kind of the middle of the pack for the leaf. So I'm going to label those because the wires all look the same. Don't want to get them wrong. Again, don't want to block the BMS. So I'm going to label those and then start investigating. I think I don't need to remove the bumper. I think I've got enough room here, because I don't need to take those poles right out. I only need to slide them the width of one module. So I think if I can just get them out of the way, get the module out, put a new module in, and then slide it through, it's going to be difficult. I know that these cells are going to not be in great shape. They're going to, I swear they're going to have swollen, haven't they? I don't know, maybe not. But I know they were difficult to get in. I designed all this super snug. They were really hard to get in. I'm not expecting them to do me any favors to replace one. So, okay, that's a little update. I will now try and label this up and get a bit further. One thing though, just before I do that, I have to mention is I now think I know why this cell is broken. It's this cell here. And can you see how badly corroded that terminal is? That's because, like over here, that I cocked up this connector and damaged it when I was taking the leaf apart, this one, during all my testing, which is obviously quite extensive to learn how to get it all to work, I short-circuited it. And that's what that damage is. It melted part of the front. And I reckon that I did that like, God, right at the start of all of this. So clearly it's damaged that cell, and that's why it's now failed. So it's interesting because of these, it's quite convenient actually, that these two cells, the two that got damaged and the right at the front. So yeah, but that's interesting. Well remembered there, that's probably why that one's failed. But I've got my replacements over here, all shiny. So we'll crack on now, see if we can get this BMS wiring sorted out. So a lot's happened since my last video, including I've been on holiday for 2 weeks. You should have really planned that in with the video. Started a bit, did a bit, but you know, it's a home project. So as probably a lot of you know, you kind of don't always get the time to do it all in one go. But you might notice the car's missing. So started to take it all apart and got a little bit scared by that one cell that's faulty. Now, luckily, I've got my tow hook here, so I can actually lower the car out without it being under its own steam. So it's outside. The reason it's outside is, let me show you this. Look at that there. See how swollen it is? Let me just check I did see that on there. Yeah. So as I started to undo it, it started to really expand. And I thought, you know what? I'm not sure I really want to do that in my garage, which is under my house. So I'm doing it all outside. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think these packs are pretty benign, unless you actually, you know, tear or rip one of them. But of course, if it expands to a certain point, it could catch a bit of metal or do something nasty. But then it's got even more complicated because, well, I had to take the bumper off. That's not a big job. I've done that so many thousands of times now. It's about 20 minutes. So the bumper's off, which has allowed me to get to the front of the pack here. So that's the front of the pack, and here are my rods coming out. So on one side, which is not the swollen side, I've got the 1, 2, see they're pulled out, nicely pulled out now, and I've done the top 2 as well, which you can't quite see, just in there. So yeah, all good. But problem is I can't lift the pack out. It's very sunny out here. Can't lift the pack out because it's just very, 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 very stuck in as I expected. So again, coming down here, you can see I've put 2 very long bolt M10 bolts in just to try and lift it. Don't worry, these 2 cells are not internally joined, so they are benign. There's no voltage difference between them, but I can't pull it out, and the connectors aren't really strong enough to give it much welly. So I'm going to do what I did to get the batteries in, which is use some very thin aluminium plate. So this is what I made the battery box out of. I'm going to slide that between the batteries and then hopefully be able to pull the whole lot, aluminium battery, the lot out together. Because I think what's happened is just over time there, it's just friction. They're just so stuck together, a bit of damp, a bit of all that kind of stuff. And just need to break that friction, and I think they'll pull out, or that one will pull out. Don't know about the swollen one, not undone that side yet. So anyway, I'm going to continue. I'm going to slide these in, see how I get on, and I'll report back. So I am a bit stuck. I've put 2 plates down the sides of the battery, put a couple of screws in. There's no voltage between those 2. I can't get it out. I can't get it out. I'm just going to have to just keep trying, just bit by bit, see if I can inch it out. Wow, this is going to take a while. So I don't give up easily, but this has been a right ball ache. In the end, I've had to get the crane out, hoist, whatever you want to call it, engine lift. I've extended it and had to pretty much lift the battery out. I managed to get the battery out enough so that if we look at these ones here, I got the battery up enough, kind of got a screwdriver in just to lever it enough to get to this hole. And once I had the hole exposed, I put a couple of bars through each side, through there and there, which are where the rods go normally. And I've then managed to get a belt through those 2 rods, and using the lift, literally lift the battery out. Well, of course, I've done it really gently because I wasn't sure, well, I didn't want to break anything or if it was caught or wedged on something, but it wasn't. It literally just was rammed in there. So I've managed to get one of the batteries out, which is fantastic. But if I show you this, so here, you can see here the difference in how compressed they were. So probably about 5 mil from the edge of one to the other. So this lot needs to all be compressed back in again, 5 mil, before that battery's going to go back in. So that's going to be a hell of a play, hell of a lot of fun getting that done. So they are here, there, and there's 2 down below. I've actually managed to unscrew them, but I now just need to pull them through. But it's obviously very, very swollen here. You can see that pack, that gap there shouldn't be there. And as I've unscrewed it, the gap's got bigger and bigger, so I don't know how big it's going to get. But we're getting both out. BMS wiring's not too badly affected. Taped everything up, just out of the way. Right, on for the next one. Well, still going. So I've now got all the compression rods out. So all 4 from this side are out. Obviously all 4 on that side, I've got that battery out. Look how much this has expanded. I mean, it's actually completely bent now, my battery box, and even the compression plate that is in there is bent. Wow, there's a lot of pressure, and I still think this is going to expand more as I try to get it out. So I'm doing the same process. I've got these aluminium plates I'm going to slide in, probably only one because it's so tight I can't really get them in. I've lifted this up enough to get a rod in, and I'm going to use my lift to just, the way it worked on the other one, it just keeps pressure. I don't lift it out using that. I just give it enough pressure so that I can actually lift it out with my hand. But it just takes, 90% of the energy out, so I can do it that last little bit, finesse it with hand rather than try and brute force it and cause any damage. So I've got all the BMS wiring labelled and out the way. Well, yeah, see if I can lift this out, would be quite nice. I might have been at it all afternoon, but we're done. We've got the damn cell out. So in the end, did have to use the hoist, and as you saw, I got one of the batteries out earlier. It was exactly the same process for the other one, but I mean, swollen is not the word. Look at this. Yeah, I mean, and that's with a clamp on it. So, you know, very, very badly swollen. Yeah, so in the end I put that clamp on it because as it was coming out, it was still expanding. And I'm like, oh my God, where does this end? Thanks to all the people that I've messaged because, yeah, I got scared. I'm normally pretty gung-ho with this stuff, but as that came out, I'm like, is this thing going to rupture? Is it going to catch fire? So thanks to, again, the London EV guys that I've mentioned many times and Scooter from one of the EV forums as well, just reassuring me saying, very unlikely it's going to expand and burst into flames. Obviously it was damaged then potentially, but it's not damaged, it's just had enough. So they're out. What can we do here? So we've got 2 gaps. Doof, doof. So next thing I need to do is check what voltage all my cells are at and make sure the 2 I put in are roughly about the same voltage. Otherwise, obviously, I'm going to have a bit of an imbalance that I don't really want. So going to make sure that's right and probably tow the car back into the garage for today. It's been a stressful afternoon. And then reconvene maybe on video 3. We'll start to put some batteries back in. Cheers. Going to be a little while actually before I can put these new batteries in because I want to discharge my little discharger here, discharging the dead cells down to, I'm going to do it to 0 volts. I think that's the best way of stopping any kind of like thermal runaway with them. It'll kill the cell, it'll kill the battery, of course, having it that low. So I'm discharging that, but I've realised that these are only at 3.6 volts and my car is at 3.9. So I'm currently then charging over here. I'm doing 2 cells at once there, and I'll do the other side. So I'm just charging that up to 7.8 volts for that, which will be 3.9 for each cell, which will be roughly in accordance to what the car is. Do the other side, then do another module over here, get that up to the right voltage. You know, as long as it's near enough, it doesn't have to be spot on, but I can't really leave it quite the difference it is so far. So I'm gonna have a bit of a tidy up and then be a couple of days, I'd imagine, before all this is ready and start to put things back together again. Right, so we're a couple of days on since I managed to get the batteries out and I've been charging the batteries over here to get them up to the right voltage. If I can show you this here. So just got it on, I think I'm going up to 7.8 volts for 1/2, which is 3.9 for the 2 cells that are in there. I've got a constant voltage, constant current charger, so it'll charge up to 7.8 volts and it will just hold the current until the battery becomes full. And as the battery becomes full, its resistance becomes higher. Resistance is higher, amperage drops. And when the amperage drops below about 1 amp, I'm just taking it off saying that's enough. And it's roughly then at the right voltage as the rest of my pack. But getting the other battery, and I've already been at it for a good hour and a half, a couple of hours. And I think I might have now got a technique to get it in. They seem to go down, but this is exactly what I had before. They get to like 5 mil from the bottom, stuck, absolutely will not go. And I can even measure the batteries that I've got spare down here, these extra ones. I cannot for the life of me work out what the 5 mil is catching on what the 5 mil. I mean, they're just flat. So what I've got now, and I'm hoping this is going to work, is I've got some aluminium plates here on one side, an aluminium plate on the other side. They go right down to the bottom of the cavity, and I'm going to put the battery in between those 2 sets of plates, and they're completely flat. I have been faffing around with this, and I've been doing plates on one side and the other side, and I just get caught every time at 5 mil from the end. So I'm hoping plates both sides will allow the battery to get all the way down. This is actually easier than when I first built the car. When I first built the car, the tolerances were a lot tighter. I think where that pack had expanded so much, everything's got a little looser. I'm talking only about 0.5 millimeter, but it's just enough. So it's actually, I can pull the battery out by hand, and I can literally pull it out, put it back in, and get stuck at 5 mil. Anyway, I'm gonna have another go and report back. Oh my God, right, so can't get it in, can't get it to fit, can't get it to go down flush, tried all combination stuff, even had the wife down here, plates, sliding, I'm just 5 mil too high. And I have to say, I'm not sure if she's in earshot anymore, but the wife pointed something out. These batteries with the knobbly bits on, I've got 1, 2, 3. Well, look, they're actually taller. So they must have a slight frame around them. And I think they are from the back battery pack. I think I've got those in the back. And the ones at the front are slightly smaller, or the ones without this frame on. Look, you can see it's about 5mm difference. So I've been faffing about trying to get this to fit when actually it's not going to fit. And I have to give the wife kudos for spotting that they didn't look the same while I'm beating myself up. I even tried to use some grease. I was greasing it up, sliding it in, and I got very good. I can get this right down there and slide it right in. But yeah, it's too big. If it's too big, ain't going to fit. So we have, fortunately, the other one I've got on charge over here is not a knobbly one. So that's a smaller cell, slightly smaller frame. Well, I think they're the same frame, but I think it doesn't have the extra kind of bracket part around, which obviously makes it slightly deeper. It's charging at 1.3 amps at the moment. So when that gets below 1 amp, I will stop it charging and flick it over to the other side. That's probably going to take, wow, probably the rest of today. I'd imagine it's, what, 5 o'clock now. So abandon all ye get batteries in for today. We will reconvene at another time. What is it, Sunday today? So yeah, see if I get some time during the week, and I'll give you some more updates. Cheers. Hello. It's probably about 10 days ago since I did the last little bit that you just jumped from. Busy, weekends away, dance competitions with the girls, and lots going on. But I've come back today. It's Wednesday, so yeah, about 10 days, I think, since I was last videoing. Got the batteries charged, which is good, and I've got them in pretty easy. So here we have the 2 new batteries in the top, which is all good. So, I mean, I think because the other packs have expanded so much, there's a little bit of give in the pack, in the box now. But it's got padding, and they're really, really tight, but not so tight that I need shims and stuff to get them in. So they've gone in, and I just need to button all this back up again, really. Just be methodical, make sure I got the BMS wiring in the right places, took photographs of it, numbered it all. Got to be careful, high voltage. So I'm just going to methodically put all this back together. The batteries are slightly higher voltage than the rest of the pack. So I'm hoping that because just 2 are slightly higher, the BMS will just bring those back down rather than them being low and the whole pack needs to be brought back down. So probably I think what will happen is I just need to leave the car on, because I think if the car is on, the BMS is running and it will just drain those slightly higher cells. And well, that's for later on. Let's get this wired up and working first. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Right, well, I've got it all plugged in. We're all good. I've had to make a little extra slot in my box there for the negative high voltage cable because the old one was broken. It kind of came in at an angle, but now it's not broken anymore. I've got to make a slot, so that's fine. I'm all wired up, but you might be able to tell from my voice that things aren't all very good. So you might be able to hear the radio and the car is on. The car is on. The high voltage is working. I've spun the motor. I've plugged back in all the BMS. I've replaced the relay that was fused. So we're all kind of looking good. But we've got a problem. And when I plug in my computer, I'm getting 0 volts on all the cells, which is not good. But the BMS is alive because I'm getting like a full voltage, low voltage, state of health, state of charge, all this information that I'm extracting from it. But all the cells are at 0 volts. So I'm just kind of stood here staring at it. And I do a lot of staring when I get a problem. But all the BMS wiring is, I numbered them all. They've all got little dots on to say what order they're in. I took photos of them and the photos match what I've got. I unplugged the BMS when I did it all, so I couldn't have like touched things together and done it. The BMS wasn't even plugged in. So I'm just going to stand here and stare at it for a bit longer and see what I can work out. So I'm really no further forward. I mean, everything looks absolutely perfect, but I'm not getting any cell voltages on the BMS. I've checked all the taps at the front, they all match my wiring. I've checked then each individual 96 96 wires that go into the BMS. I've tapped each one individually and I'm getting an individual voltage across each one. I've got the end tap and the middle tap. Everything just checks out. I just can't understand why I'm getting 0 volts for all the cells. I've got a spare BMS here, but I don't want to plug it fully in because I don't want to blow it up just in case I've blown this other one up. But I don't understand how I could have blown it up because I just disconnected it when I did all the work. So I'm just really confused at the moment. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this BMS here. I don't know if this one works, to be honest. It was given to me by somebody. When I plug in just the back cells, so just the ones in the back of the car that I didn't touch, this gives 0 volts on everything as well. But I'm probably suspecting that's because you need all of them plugged in for it to reference correctly what the voltages are. So kind of not surprised, but then it's a bit suspicious as well. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my one out of the car, whip the case of it off, because I've blown one of these up before and it was pretty obvious. When you looked inside, you could see damaged components. So I think I'm going to whip it out, take the case off, see what's going on inside, see if I can just start to understand. I don't really want to say this has done this upgrade when something's not working, because if the BMS isn't working, then when I charge, it's not going to balance the cells properly. When you're driving around, it's constantly balancing. And if it doesn't know what the voltage of each cell is, how does it balance? So I think I'm just accruing a long-term problem if I don't sort this out. So, okay, whip this out and see where we're at. So I've undone the BMS. Here's the back of the board there and front of the board. So I've used the camera on my phone, which is really good for you can probably zoom in, like you can really zoom in on these sections and just slowly looking across the board. I can't find anything that's broken or burnt or worn out. When I blew one of these up before, it was fairly obvious. There was 2 tiny little components which were burnt, and also on the cover you could see where it obviously got hot and there was like little scorch marks. But there's nothing here. It looks absolutely perfect, and the rear absolutely perfect as well. And you know with electronics, you just get that you get that smell, don't you? That kind of like burnt smell. There's just nothing at all. This smells perfect. So if smell is an indication of what isn't working, I don't know, but that looks fine. So I'm more bemused than ever about what's going on. I obviously got that spare one I could try. I just don't want to blow it up. But if this isn't blown up, I think I'm going to put this back together, give it one more try, and then I'm going to put the spare BMS in, see what happens. As you might be able to tell, I've got a slightly bigger smile on my face. I was kind of giving up, as you might have said on the last video, or I said in the last video. I fixed it. I just couldn't understand what was wrong, and I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to bite the bullet. I'm going to put the other BMS in, same, all zeros. So I'm like, well, have I broken that one now? And I was like, well, maybe I'm using the wrong code. You know, I'm doing something stupid there, but checked. Code's all exactly right. I thought, well, I'll just recompile it on the Arduino and just check that's all okay. Recompiled it, ran it. Now it reports back absolutely fine. So for whatever reason, my Arduino had its knickers in a twist. I don't fully understand why. I haven't changed that code for years. I wrote that, 2-3 years ago. Anyway, we're working. So I'm going to make some modifications. The battery here, some of the cables are too long, just where things are coming in at different routes now. So well, I'll show you actually. This is a video. What am I chatting? I'll show you what's going on. So the positive now, I'll go for the negative. The negative here is coming in completely all over the bloody place because it's coming in right in the front through my little notch that I've made, and my positive is all too long as well. So it's just because they're coming in slightly different routes, because the terminals were broken on the old batteries. They kind of came in at random angles, which made those cables fit. Now I can come in at much nicer angles. I'm going to just trim the wires down. So that means getting my 10-ton clamp thing out to put the ends on. Christ knows where that is. Anyway, I'm going to do that now. Button at the back, do this. God, very, very close. Hello. More problems. I've kind of like tidied everything up, and done a bit of 3D printing, done some covers, and it's all just looking a bit neater and tidier. And as I said, I sorted out some of the cabling, and I've left the positive cable as it was actually, because that was always a bit long. But the car now, it doesn't work anymore. Well, I'll show you. So if I come in, I'm a bit confused again. I'm spending a lot of time confused with this thing. So if I come in and if I turn the car on, kind of all works, and then the revometer goes right to the top, and the battery light stays on. So it's weird. The battery light should go off when the pre-charge is finished. So that's my two Arduinos talk to each other. That says, yep, we're done. And the front one turns that light off. The RPM comes from the rear one to the front one. So the rear one says, what's the RPM going on, and send it to the front one, which then updates the RX8. The fuel gauge is working, but that's controlled by the rear one. Temperature is all working. That's controlled by the front one. So it's like the communication between my two isn't working. Now, based on the fact that I had like CAN bus communication issues, I wonder whether something's happened, and I wonder if I just reflash all the Arduinos with the latest code, like it did with the other one, it will just fix it. Whether some weird stuff's happened and they've just all dropped out. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to reflash the one at the front first, because that's the easier one to do. And yeah, see if we can get it working. Odd. Just thought I'd quickly show you what I've done. So there's my front Arduino with thousands of things connected to it. I have a couple of wires coming out, and I have a permanent USB cable plugged in. It comes out the front, and I've just literally plugged a cable in. Got my code up here, and yeah, I've just reflashed it, so that's there. So I'm going to unplug that now. I should turn it off. Let's go and see if that's made any difference at all. So here we go. Oh. No, that has made no difference whatsoever. Okay, all right, I'll flash the back on. I know what it is. Shit, have I got a torch? Oh, it's the connector on the motor, that connector there. It's loose and the clip is broken, and I glued it on ages ago. When I've been doing this work, I took it off, and I can't get it to sit in firmly. It doesn't go fully in. So I think the reason the motor's not working, the inverter's not working, I'm getting weird RPM, is because of that. It's not plugged in properly, or not making a good contact. So I'm going to lift the car up, because I can get much easier access underneath, and see if I can get it to connect. I think I may have bent one of the pins slightly, and so it won't sit in. I bet you $1 million that's what it is. So I'm going to get under the car. It's late now. It's like 10:30. So I might do that over the weekend. And oh, so close. Can you believe it? So that's exactly what it was. I've just been under the car. As you can see, I've got the car lifted up on my really cool lift. Don't know if you've seen those before, but again, look at my channel. I'm sure I've got a video about them. They're really cool because they lift the car up about 1 meter and then lock mechanically. So even if the hydraulic system failed, then it's still locked in place, and you just can't push the car over. So feel very secure under the car. Never very happy under the car, but you know, needs must and all that. So I've got a little video that I had to get my phone up and video the connector, because you couldn't see it, which then I could just saw a glimpse of yet one bent pin. So that's absolutely spot on what I thought was happening. Then bending it back was a bit of a difficulty, because I eventually had to try and literally get my head up in the slot, because I couldn't bend it without being able to see it. And I managed to get a light, my head, and a little thing all in place, and bent it back, and the car works. So that is just a fantastic result. I think I am now done. So let me, I can't spin the video around on my iPhone whilst recording, so I'm going to stop, and then I'll replay the startup. So here we go in the car, and if I turn her on, there we go. So I note that in one of my other videos I said that the battery light stayed on. I don't really know why that was for that instance, but the battery light is going off now. I think it's an independent issue compared to what I've got now. And as you can see, the RPM is all good. And if I blip the throttle, not in gear, there we go. You can probably hear the motor as well. Fantastic. If I put her in gear, we should get some wheel spin. There we go. So traction control's kicking off because, oh, and the seatbelt warning light, because I'm not got a seatbelt on and it thinks I'm driving. So that's good. All these error lights are the stability control and traction control. They all turn off once I've driven the car for a little bit. That's just calibration that the car needs because it's obviously had its battery and that disconnected. So it's pissing it down with rain outside. I'm going to stop this. I think the next video I'll do will be me just out driving. And then I'll post this on YouTube. I've probably been making this for about 6 weeks. So very patient of everybody. But anyway, I'll get it on the road and do another video. Well, I've made it out the garage. That's a good start. I've got my standard traction control and DSC error lights, which I think should clear when I drive the car. So I'm going to take it for a drive. It's not going to rain. Driveway's clear. And yeah, we'll just see if this works. Going to leave everything off. Not going to go very far from home because, well, you just don't. Battery level is good. That matches what I've got down here for 80%. If you can see that, 80% there. Temperatures are good. That's genuine temperatures. Oil pressure's fake. I just make that up. So everything's looking good. Car's running. I can hear the pumps for the coolant running. I can rev the engine, which is good. So all systems check. Let's take it for a spin. So I'm going to be honest, I did a little video of driving the car and it was rubbish because, well, I just don't have the kit. I don't have all the cameras to attach to the car. I don't have enough cameras to do like external video of the car, like I'm driving by and stuff. And there's only me and, well, yeah, I did some stuff and it was a bit crap. Couldn't really even tell I was driving. So apologies. There it is. It works. I don't know what else I can say. Batteries are good. I've just been doing some testing. I've done some driving. It's down to about 60% battery. I've charged it back up to 100. And the cells aren't very well balanced. They are about 0.8 of a volt out, which doesn't sound much, but actually looks quite a lot when you look at them all. But I'm hoping that the balancing of the BMS and the if I do a few cycles of discharging and charging, it'll come back. But she drove absolutely fine. It's absolutely good. All lovely, hunky-dory. I've given her a bit of a wipe down clean. And hopefully now I can start using her again for a bit. It's a bit of a shame because actually I've taken so long to make this video that the clocks have gone back and it's dark outside. So hopefully the winter will just stay off a little bit longer because I don't like driving in the wet. Because where's my baby? Don't get well. But yeah. So anyway, done. Post your messages, say hello to all you people who have watched us, and thanks for your support. And there's a Ferrari 348 on Copart. Oh, I'm so tempted to buy it, but it looks like a bit of a money sink as well. I mean, imagine that as an EV. Yeah, just don't tell the missus. Anyway, catch you.